That same drug can be purchased in Germany for just $54,000. Will you commit to this committee to lower the price of Cyramza in the United States to the same price that you're selling it in Germany, $54,000? Yes? No?
Respectfully, Senator, that product has been on the market for a while. We do expect biosimilar entry. That's the primary mechanism in the U.S. where the price will fall when that occurs. I'm sure there'll be competition in the price.
So what you're telling me is that the American people will have to pay 4 times more than Germans do for the same product that you manufacture. Okay. Mr. Hudson, Sanofi is a French company. In France, Sanofi sells a thyroid cancer treatment, Capelsa, for $30,000 a year. Sanofi sells the same drug in the United States for $203,000 a year. It's 9 times as much. Will you commit to lowering the price of Capelsa in the United States to $30,000, same price as it's sold in France?
Over time, with the introduction of competition and other biosimilars, et cetera, you'll see the price fall.
Yeah, so the answer is no. Mr. Urenson.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt, but we are now, you're at 7 minutes.
You'll have the same amount of time, Senator.
Does every member have that?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Urenson, in Denmark, Novo Nordisk sells a diabetes treatment, Ozempic, for $2,000 per year. That's 6 times more. You charge 6 times more to Americans. Will you reduce the cost of Ozempic in the United States to what it is in Denmark?
Senator, I believe the amount you mentioned for the U.S. is before rebates. So on average, we pay 75% in rebates in the U.S. And for Ozempic, we actually see a price going down, our net price going down year over year. So we get a lower price already.
All right, answer is no.
I defer to Senator Paul.
The great thing about capitalism is that supply and demand intersect, and you get the largest supply at the least cost when you allow capitalism to function. Now, capitalism doesn't function very well in the drug markets because the government's been involved for a long time. But prices need to be based on supply and demand. A publicly traded company to promise to base their prices on bullying from a politician would actually be in breach of their fiduciary duty. I mean, it's actually illegal to say, oh, I'm going to make all the prices go down in my company, but it would also be irrational because if you did and there were no profit margin, the companies would be gone and they would no longer exist. Mr. Riggs, if a patient has a copay of $50, would the rational decision be then to choose Lispro over Humalog?
In the case where they were buying 1 unit, yes, they pay $25, not $50.
Right. So if the patient had a copay of $25 and Lispro is $25 and Humalog's $100, but I'm only going to pay $25, is there any rational reason why I would want to buy the least expensive? Why not buy the more expensive drug at that point?
Well, they're identical. In that case, they'd be indifferent because they're paying $25 out of pocket either way.
So here's the interesting thing. The lower the copay, the less the consumer cares about the price. So you can mandate lower and lower copays, but you might actually get the opposite. You might actually drive consumers towards something that's actually more expensive. So for example, under Obamacare, we made birth control have no copay. So there's no copay for birth control, but if you look at the price of birth control as it became free, the demand became enormous or greatly enhanced, and so the prices went up. From 2013 to 2019, you had a 3-fold increase in the price of birth control. So the most important thing is we think things through. We all want lower prices, but if you want to mandate lower co-prices for things, you may well get the opposite because you're taking away the consumer from the equation. Now, the consumer's only involved in drug prices through the copay or the deductible. And so much of healthcare, 80, 90% of it's beyond that. And so how do we lower co-prices or we lower prices for drugs? People hire an intermediary. Dr. Kautzner, does anybody hire you, what, businesses, labor unions, because they want higher prices?
Absolutely not, Senator.
If you didn't provide lower prices, would they hire either another PBM or do it on their own?
So we exist in a highly competitive market. So if we didn't deliver the value that we commit to our clients, they would certainly go elsewhere.
So it's quite confusing. We want to blame PBMs for everything, but why do people hire them? No one's forcing anybody to hire them. So as I understand, the companies represented here represent tens of thousands of businesses who voluntarily come to you and hire you. And they pay you and you make a profit. So your profit, is it exorbitant? Is your profit, Ms. Cianfrocco, is your profit greater than the drug company somehow?
Senator, our margin is 4%, roughly 4% for the services we provide to all of our clients.
So that's about like Walmart. I mean, I'm surprised we don't have Walmart here today to beat up on Walmart. We're all unhappy, but we have to be rational about what we're doing. So spread pricing, everybody's like, oh, this terrible spread pricing. Dr. Kautzner, do you offer spread pricing and also pass-through pricing?
Yes, Senator, we offer both options to our clients today. Roughly 1/3 choose spread pricing, 2/3 choose a pass-through type of model. They choose spread pricing in order to have predictability on their pharmacy benefits, so we shield them from incremental costs because we effectively provide them with a guarantee or a lock-in on price.
Which is more expensive, spread pricing or pass-through pricing when you offer it?
So we're agnostic to the type of pricing that we offer. It's more for the
No, but when you
client to
offer
make
it,
that
there's a
decision.
price. Is spread pricing cheaper or more expensive than pass-through pricing if I'm a customer?
Generally, they're going to be roughly equal in price or cost.
Ms.
There may be.
Cianfrocco, same question.
You're referring to spread pricing as the mechanism where a client pays one price for all the pharmacy claims adjudicated. It offers predictability. In often cases, it offers controlled pricing and can be less expensive than if they pay every claim on a pass-through model, but both are offered to our clients.
This needs to be pretty clear, and people need to think through. We have a bill before us to ban spread pricing. So at least one of the companies, and I think others have said this, spread pricing is less expensive than pass-through pricing. So we're going to ban the cheaper form of buying your drug insurance. Why would we ban the cheaper form? It sounds like if you ban the cheaper form, you might get the opposite result of what you're intending. You might actually get higher prices. Not to mention why we should be banning any of this, but is there a possibility you ban spread pricing and then people decide to add more of a fee on the pass-through pricing? Because, see, their obligation is to their stockholders, and they're legally bound to make a profit. So if you tell them they can't make a profit here, wouldn't they have to try to make a profit somewhere else if they're going to please their stockholders? But the thing is we haven't thought this through. We're angry. Everybody's angry. I'm angry. I've gone to the drugstore before and seen something for $1,600 in acne cream. So we're angry. But why is it so obscure? Why is it different than electronics? Why is it different than buying a car? Why is it different than a lot of expensive things? Because we've made it opaque through all of these different things that we've mandated. In the 1930s, we passed antitrust law, the Robinson-Patman Act, and we made it illegal to pass through discounts based on volume. And then we had a court case in the 90s that says you have to move market share and all these complicated things to get these rebates. But the bottom line is, in a free society, rational thinking, labor unions and businesses and health organizations are choosing a PBM. Why are they choosing a PBM? Do you think they want higher prices? And if a PBM is gouging, then why don't they go to another PBM? There's like 70 some odd PBMs. And yet we've got it in our heads somehow we're going to forbid this. So in the LicenPro example, Dr. Kautzner, so what happens to that? If we have a $25 copay and you got $100 Humalog and you got a bigger rebate and you're going to make more profit on the rebate, are you keeping LicenPro off of your list, or can I get LicenPro if I'm a business and I have people who are diabetic in my business?
Thanks for the question, Senator. So our focus is on lowest net cost of the product. And so that's where we're focused the most. And as we all know, all insulins are not created equal. We actually separate insulins into 3 different categories as well. But our focus is lowest net cost to
Let's say they were equal. You had Humalog and LicenPro. It's the same thing. And LicenPro is $100 and you get a $75 rebate to make it $25. So now we're equal price to the business you're selling your plan to, but there is more rebate. Does that mean you're excluding LicenPro from a list that if I'm a business, is it somehow working that way to exclude cheaper generics is my question.
Our focus is on where lowest net cost is available for
So
products.
I think there is a possibility, and I think that might be one complaint. There is a possibility of this. However, here's the rub. They are still giving you the lowest net price. And so if you say, well, gosh, the generic, I'd rather have the generic, it's underneath the copay. So it's outside of what the negotiation is. And so that's the only way it's going to make a difference to the consumer. But actually, I think that in the long run, as we look at it, the net cost is still what we're looking at. And so when everybody shakes their head and says, oh, the net cost, the list price mean absolutely nothing, the same way they mean nothing in medicine. But the thing is, we got this complicated thing. This isn't capitalism. We got this because of antitrust laws in the 30s. We got this from a court case based on the antitrust law in the 90s. And we have this complicated system. But instead of trying to unravel the complications we put on the market, what we're asking is to ban certain contracts. So I think what you're going to have in the end is you're going to have the unintended consequences of doing something, trying to make things better, and actually make the situation worse.